I don't feel alone. We just settled in and it already feels like home.
You're listening to the Feels Like Home podcast with Mike Throne and Marty Ford. Powered by Horizon. This is big. This is gig.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast for this week. Really excited about this week. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and mental health is something that I prioritize. My father struggled with mental health issues most of his life, and I've seen a therapist in the past as well. And so we have Katelyn Smith with us tonight, and she is the owner and operator of Dauntless Roots Plant Co on West 2nd Street. But the story goes much, much deeper than that. Katelyn is also somebody that has struggled with some mental health issues, and she talks about that in some great depth tonight. So we hope you enjoy this, and hopefully if you listen to this and you feel like maybe you have some issues that you want to take care of, we encourage you to call 211, get some links to some crisis advocacy and some resources, and get on the journey to a better you. So this is Katelyn Smith from Dauntless Roots. We are visited this week by Katelyn Smith of Dauntless Roots, or Dauntless Roots Plant Company. And
she actually made a delivery earlier when she came in the house.
Oh,
upstairs.
No kidding.
Yeah, because my wife.
Yes.
I told Jen that you were coming over for the podcast, and she was like, "Oh, how fun! I just got some plants from her."
Wait,
Yep.
Is that a service you provide?
It is, yes, but actually I'm doing something for the bank as well. So I'm going out of town in the morning. So I was like, I'm actually not going to be here when they open. So I'm just going to deliver this to Jen and she can take it to the bank.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. I mean, I don't want people to exploit the delivery policy here. So.
Yes, no, I definitely do a lot of custom stuff. So.
Right. So explain a little bit and tell us where you're at and all the good fundamental things that we need to know about Dauntless Roots.
So it definitely is my safe place. So when you walk in, you'll actually see a big mural that my friend did. It says where plants and people connect. And so actually what started this whole thing was, 2020, it was kind of winding down, and plants are kind of like something that's gotten me through bad times. I suffer from, seasonal depression especially, but, depression, anxiety on top of it, but seasonal depression is worse and it gets worse every year. And so that's when like plants kind of make me the happiest, is during those dark, dreary days. I've saved plenty of babies from Lowe's clearance, especially in the wintertime. So it's kind of something that I had really realized that I could do. Like, I don't have kids, so I don't know that I can keep kids alive. I can keep plants alive, and my dog's alive, and my chicken's alive. Because some people will be like, if I can keep my kids alive, I think I can keep plants alive. And I'm like, I would hope so, but it's some people can't. So 2020 kind of was coming to an end, and I just had felt like I'd lost like my independence. I had become a stay-at-home wife. Definitely not meant to be a stay-at-home wife. I was bored. I was always like, meeting up with friends, working on projects. I've always been somebody who's had a plate full. If it's not full, then I stress out, but then it becomes too full and I stress out anyway. So I kind of started thinking and realizing that people had kind of started dabbling in plants anyway with the pandemic, because they were staying at home more. They realized that they were great for the air quality and different things of their home. So then I realized that Wild Roots Botanicals on Water Street had went out of business. Like, I didn't even know she'd went out of business. Mm-hmm. And then I heard she'd went out of business. So I was like devastated, because that was like my happy place. Like, if I was having a stressful day, I would literally just go in there. Having conversations with the girls in there was always great, but like just the plants, the aesthetics of the building, it was just a place I could go in there and breathe. And I've heard that from multiple people as well. So I kind of started thinking like Chillicothe doesn't have a plant store, because I've had people tell me before, like, you're a small business owner, and I'm like, no, I'm not. But also, like, I'm from Piketon, so I'm a small town thinker. Like, I can't do big city stuff, and so I kind of started thinking like, what does Chillicothe not have? And so then it connected, there was no plant store. And then I had started making collections and, kind of just dabbling, doing things, posting them on my personal Facebook, and I would sell out every time. So then Lady Basil actually popped up, which I have been a huge supporter of her. I have my own personal collection of hers as well. She was very, supportive of me when I first started because I wanted to keep it local. I didn't want to go to Lowe's and Walmart and buy plants for people. I wanted to also support, local within the community. So she was like a huge supporter of me. Like when I would go in, never turned me down or anything. We worked really well together. And so this was just me making plants at home in this phase. And so I had Alpha Femme Boutique at the time, Tara's shop, was looking for somebody. And I actually had a friend go in there that noticed that there was like a pink unicorn with flowers in it. And she's like, oh, my friend, does stuff like this. And so Tara and I did not know each other before this time. And she was like, have her reach out to me. So I reached out to Tara. We kind of met up, talked, and I started putting plants in Alpha Femme Boutique. And then I had a coffee shop in Piketon, the Village Brew, reach out to me as well after they seen me post that I was doing stuff with Alpha, and they were wondering if I would if I was interested in doing the same thing for them, putting plants in the coffee shop, but also having plants available to purchase for customers and stuff. And so that's kind of like where it started, was Facebook, Alpha, the Village Brew. I did not know that it was going to go beyond that. There was a pop-up shop space available in the schoolhouse where the Village Brew is at in Piketon. Like I said, I'm from Piketon. So just to see that school pop up there and a coffee shop and just all the opportunities that that's brought, that's like made me proud. And so I did pop-ups there for a couple months in a row. And I actually was going to put a shop in Piketon. And so I was like working towards that as well. I live in Kingston, so what I talk about in a little bit is a little bit better for me, but the thought of like investing into my hometown was like so exciting for me. Plus Chillicothe didn't have a plant shop store at the time. So Piketon having a plant shop over Chillicothe was kind of like, was exciting. And so, that actually fell through, which is fine, because the opportunity on 2nd Street came available. And I have loved those spaces since Roast, has been there. Totem, Market Number 9. I helped, I used to work there with her. So I have always loved those spaces. And so when that spot became available, I messaged my husband. My husband's like, Marty knows my husband. He's very like organized. He needs to know what's going to happen next. He needs monthly records and weekly, I don't give that to him, by the way, but that's the type of person he needs to know. Like, and so I had to like go through and show him when I started to where I was at, how much inventory I had, how much I had made, how, to know, obviously from a business perspective, if it was worth it. Cause I'm also ADHD. So I get distracted too easily, and the opportunity becomes available. Yes, I'm doing this. Like, cause I knew that location was not going to stay there. And so I was like, we need to go look at this space. I need you to go look at it because I'd been in there a million times. My husband doesn't come to town a lot. He's at the hospital or in those trails. He's a trail runner. So I was like, I need you to go look at it. It was empty. So we looked at the space. We went and ate at the smokehouse, and he looked at me and he said, if you want it, you can get it. I messaged the landlord right then. I was like, we'll take it. Cause I was like, you don't understand. Like, we have to make a decision right now. Yep. Like there was already people that had looked at it on top of me. So I was like, we need to know right now. Like, you don't understand, this place is moving ready. The floors are ready. The walls are ready. Like, I literally we're moving in. And so thankfully he gave me the blessing to do it.
Knowing Chase the way I do, that's big. That's really
my
big.
Gosh. Yes, it is so big.
Not that he's not, he is one of the most kind people I've ever met in my entire life. I coached him in soccer years ago. We play on a soccer team together. He's one of my favorite people in the world.
Yet another Zane Trace soccer connection.
There's always a connection.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. He is very analytical, very, he likes that structure.
Oh, yes.
And so for him to, like, obviously Chase is going to support whatever you want to do.
Right. I would hope so. I support him in these crazy 100-miler races that he does, which we're leaving for tomorrow. I would hope he would support me.
But that's awesome that he recognized how important it was to you. And
Oh yeah, he stresses about it. He's definitely told me he needs to be my like accountant and stuff like that because he does. So I would hope he was the way that he is because he works at the hospital. He does anesthesia, so that critical. You can tell he doesn't understand business. So that's what freaks him out a little bit. Is it's different from the medical field. So, but we definitely make it work for sure. But so I mean, that's kind of like the backstory of how it started. Like I said, plants, Facebook. Opportunities, and then I mean that's the social media world, word of mouth or just posts led from opportunity to opportunity. Like I have never really stopped and looked from the beginning to where I am now because for one I would be like, holy crap, I started a business during a pandemic. What was I thinking? But also it's all happened so fast to where like I haven't been able to like breathe. Mm-hmm. Which is probably a good thing because, like, that's when you start to critique yourself. I mean, I'm literally fly by the seat of the belt type of person. Sometimes that's good with the business owner, and then obviously sometimes not. But I really think that's where my ADHD comes into play. I think most business owners have some type of form of like ADHD or something because
all the good ones I know do.
Yeah.
Because we're so passionate, and I've had to learn to like back off a lot, not get my plate too full. But that's also all led me to where I am now. So that's kind of like the backstory of the business part of it and how it got started. Took a chance and things kind of just fell into place.
So for what you're doing, I think there is very much merit in having a creative and having a business. Mm-hmm. And those two minds working together. This one to go at the speed of, the creative goes at the speed of light, and this one slows you down to about 55.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing wrong with that. I think the really good businesses that I see, as I mentioned a minute ago, they have a little bit of that.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And if they have too much of one and not enough of the other, those are the ones I worry about.
Oh yeah. And that's where like we were talking about before, where the people that come into play of like that are organized or that, have like, I'm a tornado at my house and in my shop. You can follow where I've been. Like my husband, I tell him all the time, I'm not Cinderella. Like I can't clean because I get so distracted. Like I'll start something and then I will be like, oh, this needs to go over here. And then I'll go over here and I'll start something that needs to go over here. And so I'm kind of like that at the shop too. I'll start projects, and the girls that my friends are, are definitely blessings. They volunteer their time like to help me and stuff. And so, I always feel bad, but they love it. They're all cleaners, which is amazing because I'm definitely not that. But I always say like, okay, the tornado's been in today. Like I'll start projects. There'll be dirt everywhere. I mean, they walked in the other day. I had a big custom order for a business, and one of the girls walked in. I was like, do not go behind the counter. And I mean, there was dirt everywhere. There was plastic pots everywhere. Find. Yes. I was like, do not let your kids go back there. Do not take anything back there because the tornado has been back there. Like there was dirt everywhere. There was bags everywhere. I had to cut a plant out of a pot because it was stuck in there. Like, and so I did clean up a little bit after that, but like you can literally follow where I've been because there's like trails. So I call myself the tornado.
Yeah. So where do you mentioned that you saved some of the Lowe's cast offs,
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you get a lot? Like, how do you, I could probably tell you how you get clothes. I have no clue. Cause number one, you mentioned earlier, like if you can keep children alive, you can probably keep plants alive.
Right.
Not this guy.
Yeah.
Not this guy. I can keep the kids alive. I know how to figure that out.
Yeah.
They talk back. The plants don't. So if they need water or they need something else, they're not telling me that.
So actually,
it's not readily available to me.
So actually, it's funny that you say that because
you're going to school me, right?
Well, I have a saying that plants are a lot like people. When they're not okay, they tell us. Okay. And that's kind of where the mental health part comes into it too. Sometimes I laugh at myself when I say this because it sounds really cliche, but a plant, if it's not being watered enough, depending on what the plant is, it actually starts to turn brown on the ends, and it's crispy, dry brown. So it's letting you know like, hey, I need water. If a plant is getting too much sun, it, turns brown, it gets sunspots. It's saying I get too much sun. If a plant is overwatered, it kind of does the opposite. It it's a soft brown. So I always tell people I tell people, plants are a lot like people. That's kind of where I think I also connect to them as well, is because if a plant's not okay, it's going to tell you it's not okay. There's signs, and it's kind of like people. Sometimes people don't come out and say, I'm not okay. They show signs. They may pull back. I mean, they may not be screaming, I'm not okay, but like they may have been a social person and they're no longer social. They may be saying like negative things where they used to be a very positive person. So I always tell people, like, plants and people are a lot alike. When they're not okay, they tell you. So just look for those little signs in both.
Well, now I feel bad because I should have noticed, right? But, it's interesting that you talk about that in terms of mental health, because I think they're both very connected in the sense of a lot of people would say, like I just said, like, I should have saw that.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes for a friend of theirs that's struggling with some sort of mental health crisis. Man, I should have noticed that they were withdrawing. Man, I should have noticed they were distracted or whatever. You make mental health a lot of what you do at Dauntless Roots. And I have great respect for that. We're in the middle of Mental Health Month, Awareness Month. So, talk a little bit about, how you've used it inside the business to try to, bring awareness and then also to try to help people.
So as someone who, I grew up in a very conservative Christian household, we were very sheltered. My parents were good parents. Like we never went without. But if something was wrong, we were always just told to pray about it. And I do believe prayer is a powerful thing. When I'm having a bad day or having, a depression episode or anxiety, people, especially like when you post stuff on Facebook, because I'm very transparent about my mental health.
Sure.
I have been since the first time I realized that it was what it was. And so that's probably 6+ years ago. I've been very transparent on my personal page. And so I was, like I said, raised in a very conservative Christian household. Very thankful for my parents and what they instilled in me, but I've also had to learn on my own, my beliefs, my, actions and different things like that. And I mean, I tell this to people all the time. You don't think that people that are struggling with depression and anxiety and, worse, bipolar schizophrenics, like different things, like you don't think that they're praying. Like it might not be to God, it might be to somebody different, but you don't think that's the first thing that they're doing is crying out to something, that's out there, like God or whoever. Like why? Like, we definitely question, why do we feel this way? It's definitely something that when you're battling your own self, you don't understand it. And so I'm like, you don't think I go to my Bible or look up scriptures or pray or reach out to somebody that, I know that has that, influence in my life. And so I kind of feel like we're so sick of hearing that, like, just pray about it. Well, I mean, God tells us to pray about stuff, but he doesn't just tell us to sit there, like pray and just sit. I mean, yes, his timing is not our timing, but I'm not going to sit here and be miserable and in these moments and know that there's a doctor out there that could help me. There's a therapist, there's medication. And so I definitely, medication has saved my life. My therapist has saved my life. My psychiatrist has saved my life. And so, it definitely stems from a personal experience. My anxiety, I actually had there was a situation that surfaced, and I can actually look back now through my childhood and see signs, because I did not do well with change. I do not do well with routines changing, structures changing, people in my life changing, even though I've learned now, friendships don't always last. I can be a toxic person sometimes. And so when someone cuts you out of their life, it's not like, woe is me. It's just, we weren't good for each other. So I don't take offense anymore if someone steps out of my life, because they taught me what I needed. And I hope, I was that example for them. But we want to be all about, what other people do to us. But sometimes it's us too. Even if you're a good person, you might not be a good person for everybody. And so, like I said, so anxiety first and then depression, because they all play in together. Actually, step it back, I actually have hypothyroidism. So what I tell people is there's probably something else wrong with you. It stems from something. So my anxiety we treated on its own. I was on medication for a while, was able to come off of it, handled it naturally, because you kind of learn when it happens. People, situations, you just learn to like stay away from those triggers. So I was able to come off of medication, handle it naturally. And then later on in life, it kind of surfaced back. And then depression as well, because usually if you have one, there's another that comes. But we also tested my thyroid, because that runs in my family: hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism. I actually have Hashimoto's disease on top of it. It's an autoimmune disease that goes along with hypothyroidism. Mm-hmm. But tied with that is anxiety, depression, like it's all stems together. And so I actually have struggled with weight gain on top of all this, because obviously I get the slow metabolism thyroid issue. So we treat those separately. We don't treat them like as in my thyroid causes my anxiety and different things like that, because they kind of popped up at certain times. So then the depression came along, and it was very hard, because I just didn't understand why I felt the way that I felt. Like, I have a great support system. I have a great family. I can't remember if we were married at that time, but like Chase has been a big, part of my life through this thing, because it's so weird. Because like you look back as a childhood and, in your early 20s even, and it's like, I was fine. Like, what happened? Like,
right.
To just cause this to flare up. And so it's kind of, sometimes very defeating, because it's like, I don't understand why I feel this way. But then also you have to realize, like, it's not obviously just you. There's other things that go into it. And so we treated that, started therapy. And then the pandemic hit. So it was like, I'm not talking to someone through a phone. Like, I'm sorry, like, no offense to you. I just don't, I'm not going to be able, that doesn't mean anything to me. And so I still stayed on medication and different things, but, it's so frustrating, especially like when you first start your mental health journey, to medication and therapy and different things, is the first one always isn't going to be the right one. And so you go a month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, depending on whatever the medication, when it will work. And then you go back for a checkup. It's either working or it's not. So you have to decide, do you go a different route? Do you change your dosage? And so it's very overwhelming at first. And so I tried a couple different medications, and there was one during the pandemic that I literally I said, do not ever put me on this ever again. I was ready. I didn't care if my marriage lasted. I was I was ready to fight at all times. Yeah. My husband was like, because obviously when it was time for my evaluation, I asked my husband, I was like, I need your point of view, like, since I've been on this medicine. And so he's like, take this with a grain of salt. And I was like, obviously I'm asking you for a reason. And a lot of our things lined up. I was very quick to anger. I was on edge all the time. I was ready to fight. I was not myself. And it's so crazy that medicine can like do that to you, but it's also very frustrating when you're trying to get help and you're trying to get better. And then you feel like you do a complete 180 and 360 or whatever. And so, I literally, like, she gets on the phone and I'm like, get me off of this medicine right now. Like, I'm at the point, I don't even care if my marriage works out right now. And she's like, okay, that's not good. So let's switch this. And so there's two different levels. Like, there's like an SSRN or something like that. If you're a medical professional, you'll know. But I was like, do not ever put me on that ever again. Like, that was the worst time of my life. So we switched finally, on the best medicine. But then there's like other things that can go on top of it. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, I take Wellbutrin on top of my medicine. And so sometimes I come off of it, but then sometimes I need it. So it's like, sometimes if I'm dragging, the Wellbutrin hits in and like will give me that energy that I need. And so, it's just I tell people all the time, it's going to be the hardest thing that you ever do, like finding that balance. And it's just the same thing with therapy. Like, if you don't feel like they're taking you seriously, if you don't feel like you're getting anywhere, like, don't waste your time. It's time, like, move on, for your sake and their sake, because like, it's very important. Like, you don't want to just go talk to somebody and then feel like, like you're just, I have people in my life I can talk to. Like, I don't need to go talk to, I need somebody who's going to help me, who's going to stop me like where I'm at and tell me, and then plus give me like things to work on, resources, like, to kind of help me figure out what's going on outside of the session as well. So then, the pandemic, get depression, and then, the medicine change. And so I actually had a manic episode in the spring of 2020, and I drove across the country by myself. My husband didn't know where I was, for 3 weeks. I was in Colorado. And this is actually going to shock some people because they don't know the reason. They just think, okay, I was in Colorado visiting her friend for 3 weeks. But like I said, I'm very transparent with my mental health. And so it was just a very, very stressful time, you know, not only for me, but for Chase, for the whole world. And so like I said, I don't do all change. And so a lot of things had changed and there was just so much piling up. And I had literally told Chase before this, like, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I feel like I'm about to snap. I feel like, you know, there's something that like something's going to happen. And so one day I literally was in my driveway in my car, had stuff in my car, and literally texted my friend and was like, if you give me the go ahead, I'm coming to Colorado. And so she's like, okay, come out. I don't like to drive to Columbus. So the fact that I by myself drove to Colorado in like less than a day tells you that I was not thinking clearly.
How long does it take you to get to Colorado?
I'm getting ready to do it, and it's about 20 hours to Fort Collins.
Yeah, I think I finally slept in Kansas. Or I might have even made it to the end of Kansas because I remember there was those windmills, but it was dark and it was red flashing lights. Yep. And I was like, what in the world is going on? Because I had no idea what I was even seeing.
All those wind turbines in Kansas because it's so flat and it's nothing but wind.
Yeah, and at nighttime you have no idea what it is. You just see these red flashing lights. And so I think I finally slept I think I finally got like some sleep. Maybe because when you cross into Colorado, I think it's like 2.5 hours to Centennial, Denver area, which was where I was going. And so I made it there. And like I said, my husband didn't even know where it was. I turned off my location on my phone. You know, anything that people could track me on, I just completely shut it off. And so we kind of talked a little bit. I think he thought I was at my sister's in Piketon. I think that's where a lot of people that knew this situation thought I was at. I was in Colorado, which is a special place to me. It's a place that I have, fallen in love with. And so I just spent the 3 weeks out there just kind of self-evaluating. I spent a lot of time in the trails by myself. It's beautiful out there. Yeah. Boulder. I went to Boulder. I have to tell this guy. I know. We always talk about it. So I definitely just took that time and just, spent time alone. I didn't have, responsibilities. I love my dogs. And so that's another thing I willingly left them for 3 weeks is another thing that lets you know I'm not okay. So I come back, which the drive home was definitely not as fun as the drive out there. I stopped in Kansas at this really super cool Airbnb. It's a town that's known for like this painting of Jesus. That's not Colby, Kansas, maybe. Yep. There's like this painting of Jesus in a cornfield. It's like as big as this table. It is not big at all, but that's what this town is known for. And they turn this like old, the metal bins for like straw and stuff like on.
Oh, like silos.
Yeah, silos. That's what they turned it into an Airbnb. So there's like half of one that has a bed. It has like a garage glass door where the bed's at. And then the silo is the bathroom. There's a shower. There's a toilet. I am in the middle of a cornfield by myself. And I am terrified of tornadoes. Middle of a cornfield in Kansas. And there is a red storm over me. And I'm like, literally start panicking. So I was like, I'm just going to go to sleep. It's fine. I wake up at like 2 or 3 in the morning. There's like rain dripping on my face. There's a, storm. I like plants. I actually had plants in Colorado that I had found that I packed up and brought home with me. Grabbed my plants, hit my car. It was like 2:33 in the morning. I was like, I have to get out of here. Like, that's also when everything like kind of was like catching up to me. Like I just spent 3 weeks in Colorado. I ran away from my problems. And so I was like, I have to get out of here. So I drive home. And so a lot of people don't know that I had a manic episode. I like completely blacked out when I, that summer of 2020. I don't really remember. But I actually had a doctor's appointment already scheduled for when I got back anyway. And I was like, I think I'm bipolar. And she was like, no, because I don't have the highs and the lows like bipolar do. Like they have weeks where they can't sleep and then they have weeks where they sleep. So they're very highs and lows. I just sleep all the time. There's really no not sleeping for me. So that's when I got with my psychiatrist and we realize I'm ADHD, and I didn't know that ADHD, like people that have ADHD can have manic episodes as well. So that was something new to learn, but I knew then like I wasn't okay. There was more to this than just, anxiety, depression. I kind of like I said, I get very distracted easily. I can't start something and finish it, unless I actually focus on it. So, and I'm very fidgety. I fidget with my hands. Actually, Chase was like, it's not, you're not going to be on TV, so you don't have to play with your hair. Cause like when I did my Only Chill Coffee video, I was like playing with my hair in it, and like people that know me noticed it. And so he, on the way here, it's like radio. Nobody's going to know if you're like, you don't have to play with your hair. So I'm just like, there's just things that I've realized that when you look up ADHD, like that's me. I'm very forgetful. I have a very big heart, and sometimes I like am gung-ho and gonna do stuff, and then like the next day comes and I have to go to Columbus to get plants, which I'll answer your question about that in a minute, to get plants, and then I forget, and that, and I don't mean to be, it comes across like I'm being selfish, but I'm not. I'm just like very bad about prioritizing or making time, or like when I say something, like fulfilling it. And so I'm surprised I haven't lost a lot more people in my life, because I probably do come across as selfish. There's some people I'm sure I come across as lazy. I take naps like no other. I always tell kids, like, do not fight your naps now, because you're going to just do it when you get older anyway. But that's how I handle things. Like I'm very lucky that I can do that. Like if I'm overwhelmed or stressed, I can just like shut it off. But it's taken a lot to get to where I am. So like definitely personal experience has led me to the mental health side of the business. So earlier you asked about plants. So I used to get them out of Florida. They were shipped in Florida because I hadn't found a wholesaler here in Ohio. But I actually have a really cool wholesaler. It's the Groovy Plant Ranch up in Delaware County. They blew up on TikTok, but that's actually who I use, because I'm very passionate about keeping it in Ohio. And that does stem to the plants as well. If I can support people here at Local and Chill Coffee or in Ohio, I would rather do that. So there's a greenhouse up there that I support. So that's kind of where I get the plants from. And then that's kind of like the mental health side from me. It was very personal. I didn't know exactly that it was going to be as much as it is now, because some people are like, you're a plant shop, but I do carry other stuff as well. But the mental health, I didn't realize. I mean, I knew it was needed, but I didn't realize how needed it was, especially in our area, and how welcoming and like open arms it has been accepted.
This is big. Horizon Fiber Internet is ready
Let them get you hooked up and power your Wi-Fi network
with the speed and reliability that only a 100% fiber network can do.
Horizon is ready to help you do what you do better, with real people, real rates, and a real service.
Connect with them today, and the first month is free, plus no contracts and no data caps. Call 740-772-8331
or visit horizonconnects.com/Chillicothe to sign up today.
First of all, thanks for sharing that. That means a lot, because I think there's a lot of people that could listen to that and pull pieces of that out in their own story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I can tell you, as somebody who, my father struggled with anxiety and depression, particularly at the end of his life. There were lots of things that I didn't understand. And so my defense mechanism was, they live in South Carolina, I live here, I'm not going to deal with it until I have to.
Right.
And that was a mistake. I probably could have learned a lot about his coping mechanisms, his illness.
Yeah.
And, you know, the pandemic was really hard for him. His wife had died right before the pandemic. So, you know, it was, I really can empathize with a lot of what you were saying there. That said, you know, finding a way to cope with all that stuff after you had the manic episode, and then, you know, is super critical and crucial. And I think, you know, for you, it might be plants. For another person, it might be that trail running that you talked about. It could be playing soccer. It could be playing music, you know, whatever. As long as we're sort of constructively addressing those things, I'm not going to quibble with it. You know, and I think that's probably the best way to go.
Yeah. And I tell people that all the time. You have to find something that, for one, you're passionate about, because two, like, I'm not an exercise person. I've dabbled in everything. My husband would love for me to be out there. I do love being in the trails, but I probably will never be running 100 milers. Like, if you're a $150 person and you do leg 24, my husband had an 8:49 minute pace on that. It's like knees to chest. It took me 2 hours and 12 minutes. Emily Boggs was like an hour. So like I'm Chase and Emily, you know, those athletes are on this hot day. And, you know, when was it it was April.
2 weeks. Yeah.
You know, they're 51 minutes, you know, an hour. And I'm like, I came out of there and I was like, what was that? For one. Two, who does that? Which I am going to do leg 4 again next year, because that leg 24 took my soul, and I'm determined that I'm going to take it back. I'm going to take it next year. I'm going to be a little bit more prepared. Hopefully it's not 80 some degrees, but I always tell people, like, you have to find something that, for one, like, you're passionate about. Two, that's going to help you, because especially in those situations where you're really struggling, like, for one, it's so hard. Like, I think that's where I struggle with going to the trails, is I have to get there. Whereas in my husband, like, that's how he takes care. I mean, we all have mental health, like, that we have to worry about.
Yep.
He may not like have the issues that I have or even realize it, but that's how he takes care of himself. And of course, he's always in a good mood. He's out in nature. He's around all those trees.
It's getting that, you know, all that exercise is increasing those levels. And
so, you know, even if it's like through diet and exercise, crafting, painting, you know, plants, like, find something that makes you happy. But also, like, another thing is, like, find something that you can see that you're going to make progress with, because if you're putting in the time and the work, and like plants, they grow, so you get to see it happen. But yeah, it's so hard, but we're definitely, I mean, so many more people are understanding, or they see, like you said with your dad, you see, like, you could have put more work or effort into, or there was things that you didn't understand that you wish you understood. But also, if you don't know, then how do you know that that's what it is until, you know, sometimes later. But I think definitely we're all doing so much better and bringing awareness to it. I actually have a friend, he's actually from Chillicothe, Jimmy Lump. I don't know if you know him.
I know.
He is actually working with the opioid, is it? Oh, I looked it up earlier. He actually sent me some statistic. It's the Ohio Opioid Education Alliance. And so when they started, they were just focusing on drugs. And so, they've switched to like the more of the mental health side, which mental health and drugs tie together.
Oh yeah.
It's taken a long time for people to realize that. And so I mean, I've even been, you know, when you think about a drug addict, like we've all been judgmental. Well, they should do this, or, you know, they can do this, but there's so much more that stems from that. And me experience what I've experienced, like, obviously I've never wanted to, you know, go that far, and I've never, you know, been on the worst side of it, thankfully. But it's just, for one, like, I feel like where we're at now, like, we've learned that being judgmental is not the way to go. That could be you, like, your genetics could have led you to that, a bad day, or, you know, obviously, like, some of it, sometimes there is a choice there, but for the most part, they really can't help it. Like, that's just what has fallen into their lap. And so providing things for them, and, you know, not being so stereotypical and stuff. And, you know, that's what I love, that what they're doing is they've switched this year to like mental health sides of it. And, you know, they do statistics and drugs, and plus, you know, they're in Columbus. So it's like they have a big, you know, following and stuff. But it's like, so right now it's about 19% of adults are experiencing a mental illness. So that's equivalent to 47 million Americans. Like,
yeah,
when you think about that, that's a lot of people. And then just here in Ohio, it's 21.4%. So that's 1.9 million residents in Ohio that are experiencing mental health issues. It's believed that 1 in 13 Ohioans struggle with addiction. And then, of course, you know, when you go into like your non-Hispanic and stuff like that, Hispanics, non-Hispanics, and then even, you know, the African-American community, like, they don't receive mental health because they're afraid to. So like the percentage of that is so high, and Ohio has one of the nation's highest rate of overdose deaths with 35.9 deaths per 100,000 people. Like, we've got to do something. And so I think that's where, like, I honestly am one person. I can't fix everything, but if I can have someone come into the shop, and I hear this all the time, like, it's so crazy because the people that I know that are meant to be in there come in there. And it can be people from Columbus, Dayton, Cincinnati. They usually have a medical degree. They're either a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a therapist, and they're not even coming in there for that reason. They're literally just in Chillicothe spending the weekend, because you'd be surprised how many people like from those big cities are coming to Chillicothe nowadays, especially around the holidays and stuff. And they will come in and they'll, browse around the store and they'll see mental health stickers or the shirt, and we start talking about it. And then here they know exactly what's going on. They know the struggles. And so they're always like, this is great that you're doing it. Even if it's through a shirt, like that says mental health matters, like at the $1.50, I've seen so many of the green shirts that I have. And like, I can't do it alone. And it's definitely like, I don't like when I have our mental health nights, I do not open them. I give the speakers or whoever's with them, I don't want to be seen. I sit in the back and I let them do their thing. I'm like, this is about you. This is about your topic. Like, I don't want any credit. And so just having the conversations, like the day-to-day ones that I have with people that are meant to be there, just helps me keep going. Cause like I said, I'm one person. I'm from Piketon, Ohio. I don't have a medical degree. I don't have a college degree. I flunked out of college. Which stems back to now that I been diagnosed ADHD. That's, I couldn't focus. I couldn't study. Like, I was too distracted with too many things. And so it's like, now as an adult, so many things as, out of high school and in high school and as in my 20s, like it makes so much sense now. But just having a place for people to come just to be who they are. I love parents with, autistic children that can come in there. And they're always apologizing. I'm like, no, you let them be who they are. Like, dogs are, I've got my dogs in there. Kids are in there. It's the same thing with dogs. If kids can be in there rocking and rolling, dogs can be in here rocking and rolling in this place too. So just the fact that there's a place that people can come and be comfortable. And like, I've had parents tell me, like, my daughter loves coming here because she feels safe. This is a place where she can be who she is. She's not going to be judged. She's not going to be yelled at. She's not going to be looked at. And so that means a lot to me, hearing that people are comfortable coming to where this little place I've created for. Well,
and that's, that's your role in it. You know what I mean? Like, you're not a mental health professional,
right?
But you provide something that people can get a respite from their daily life or the things that ail them or whatever. I had a great conversation yesterday with, Alvin and Trish Mayers at Mayers Cares Counseling. And one of the things that we talked about was, how the pandemic affected both children and adults differently.
Yeah.
But, and they talked about, just teaching people better coping mechanisms for one having to be isolated.
Right.
And then other people to just deal with their fear of COVID. And if I go out of my house, am I going to catch something? And if I do, am I going to die? I don't know if I got one of those comorbidities. Like, it's a stressful time.
Yes.
Then you throw on top of that all the turmoil that's going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
And it's not on, I don't think there's nobody can point a finger at anybody that's struggling with all these things and say, you're not right. You just need to get out of your own head. Like, we need to have people that are advocates for us, not only on the professional side, but on the layman's side that'll say, come in here and hang out in my space.
Yeah. I've even told people, cause there's some kids that, especially when, if you go to the spectrum, that they don't do well with noises and, people. Right. I've told people before, like, if you need to come in and, cause we have sensory boxes and we've got kids play areas, and just like planning a plant is something for them. I'm like, you let me know, we'll lock the door and we'll take that one-on-one time with them. That way they're getting an experience. Because obviously, like, kids still need something to do, like, especially if they're on the spectrum or, different things, like they need comfortable places to come to. And so I've told people, like, message me, let me know, like, that you need to do this, and we'll lock the doors, and we will let this be their time, out. Cause like some kids don't like to leave their house, like, or they get overwhelmed as soon as they get out. And so, and I do the same thing with dogs too. I tell people if they ever need a dog that needs socialized, cause my 2 dogs are angels. Like, they love kids, they love people, but they love dogs. But my dogs are very submissive. So if a dog is terrified and needs like interaction with other dogs, my dogs are the most perfect dogs, because my dogs
they're like dog therapists.
Yes. And actually that's another reason why people come to my shop. And it really does help with the mental health side of it too. People actually are devastated when they come in and they're not there. And I'm like, sorry, they're at the groomers, or their dad actually wanted to spend time with them because he's off work today. So, but yeah, I mean, there's so many coping mechanisms that we've learned. I don't watch the news personally, because it's very trigger. It's, I already struggle with depression anyway. I don't need to know. Obviously, if it's important, I will do some research into it, or I leave it up to Chase, John Oliver, and whatever else he's watching that spins it a little bit to the fun side. But I think that's also what the pandemic has, taught us, is there's no one right way to live life. Right. We've all got off our high pedestals. We all became on the same page for year and a half. I mean, we're still kind of, like you said, there's still people who struggle with it, but I think we've all kind of been humbled, and we've realized that, mental health obviously is a huge issue. People, either it surfaced during the pandemic, people realized it, it's so amazing though to see the people that are so accepting of it now. Or like when I first, reached out and was like, hey, I would love to have mental health nights, just a night for people to get together. It could be, they could do activities, they could speak. And like Steffi Eversole, she was actually my teacher. She was my English teacher my junior year. And she was the first person. She's like, me, I have a story that I want to tell. And like sitting in that room, hearing her talk about certain things that I knew, but I didn't know the full story. I only knew the face of it that looked a certain way, but actually was this way. Yeah. And so it's like, people wear things differently. Situations in people's life, like you don't know everything that's going on. Yep. It may look one way to you, but it's a totally different, it's how they're coping. It's how they're handling it. And so just, people that I know and have known, and just to hear their stories, or, know that they're going to advocate for it, or they have, family, and I mean, we've covered, boundaries and burnout. We've done anxiety. We've done survivors of suicide. We've done, Macy came on at the beginning of the year, and we kind of talked about, alcoholism, and how, a fresh start and stuff like that. And so she was, her and Cassie Richmond were on at the beginning of the year, because they have the same story. Yeah. And they didn't realize it, because I paired them together, because I usually try to do at least 2 with the same story, because obviously it's the same but different, because they reach certain people. Like one person may not reach everybody, but if you have 2 different people, you're going to reach a little bit more people. And so to hear, their stories of what they, have gone through and choosing to kick alcoholism in the butt, is so amazing. And like Macy's become a big supporter and a big friend through just my business. Like I didn't know who she was until this. And, so she's a big advocate. We're actually going to team up and do some stuff this month for Mental Health Awareness Month. I've got a few different things that are in the works for this month. And so, it's definitely not anywhere where it needs to be, but this is what I felt led to do. For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm doing what I was meant to do, because I was all over the place. Like I said, I don't have a college degree. I've worked as a nurse's aide. I've worked in a factory. I made insides for Kenworth trucks before. I was, in retail. I was a server. I was a babysitter. Like I've worked at Beerman. I worked at Hobby Lobby for 6 years. That's actually where I worked at before I started my business. So for the first time in my life, and it took turning 30 to kind of for it to all kick in, like I feel like I'm doing what I'm meant to do. And even on my bad days, like even on the days where I literally can't function, actually, one more story. I'll keep it short because I could talk a lot. My husband we went to snowshoe over the winter, and I don't ski. I've tried. I really needed to take the class, but the last time I skied, I thought I broke my leg. Like, I came out of my ski boots and I literally thought my leg was going to be broken when I stood up. It was terrifying. And so we went to snowshoe, and my husband was sitting on the couch. We took the dogs with us. Me and the dog stayed in while he skied. He snapped his boots in, and I've never in my life had a panic attack like I did from the sound of. And that's another thing with mental health. Triggers are so widespread. Like, they're not just one thing. Like, it can be a sound, it can be a person, it can be like, and so my chest got really tight. I couldn't breathe, and I like spoke it like, okay, like I knew what was happening. And so he went and skied, and I was reading a book on neurodivergent minds, which
some light fare. You do.
At the time I was like,
ski lodge reading.
Yeah.
Right. So at the time I thought I was doing myself good, but as I'm reading this book, I'm like, oh my God, I have so much more stuff wrong with me than I realized. Like, how much more can I have wrong with my brain? I think I'm autistic. I think I'm this, I'm like, so I kept reading this book, and of course, Law and Order SVU is my favorite show. So I'm watching Law and Order SVU on top of this. And so we get home a few days later, and I legit for a week had panic and anxiety attacks. I couldn't function. I went to the shop one day and had a panic attack, and this is the first time this has ever happened, because that's my safe place. That's the place where I go to escape. Yeah. And I was like, I literally went home because I had somebody come in, and I was in bed. I would have anxiety attacks laying in bed. I was taking baths. I was using smells that were calming. I was drinking all the teas. Well, when I went to therapy, I was talking to my therapist, and I was like, telling her all this stuff. There were so many times I wanted to scream, but I didn't, because I was like, that would be crazy. I'm in my own house. Who cares if I'm screaming or not? So apparently I learned the hard way is when you have a panic attack or anxiety attack like that, you actually have to release. You have to release it. So I should have screamed. I should have done jumping jacks. I should have done squats. I was actually holding all of that tension in and making it worse. Whereas in, thinking I know how to take care of myself now. She was like, you have to exhaust yourself before you can relax. I went into relaxation mode. I was trying to take care of myself. I was trying to do all of the self-care, the sage and the lavender and the teas and and she was like, you have to let that out, or you're going to hold it in and your body holds on to it. And so it's just so crazy to me that a sound of a ski boot made me go on this week-long anxiety panic attack staged. And then I learned you should have just screamed. That would have saved me a lot of bad days. But and I've also been able to tell people that, because they didn't know the same thing. If you have a panic and anxiety attack, you have to release that energy, because if not, you hold on to it. And so I've been able to help people now, that are going to have week-long panic attacks thanks to me going through it. But also it's just crazy, the stuff that our bodies teach us, but that they can do good and bad. So
are those the opportunities you see at the shop? I mean, that's what you're finding, is this tie between the plants and mental health, and just coming out of that conversation. And you said plants are like humans, but what really do you think is that deep connection between plants and human beings that is allowing these opportunities for you to talk about mental health?
So a lot of people either have started buying plants during the pandemic, or I have one lady who, if you're a plant person, there's a species, it's called a philodendron. She wants every philodendron she can get. So if I get new ones in, I'll either message her, have her come in, and she actually is the one who has an autistic daughter who comes in. And so she actually came in one night. I had a dog night, and she's like, my husband won't let me bring my dog, but can I come in and shop? And so that's actually how I met her. And then, usually when they come in, and, either we have a conversation, they see there's a kids play area. People love, I'm a hot mess express. There's times that you walk in the shop, you're probably going to hear a screaming baby. You're going to hear dogs barking. My mini doodle thinks he is the shop security. His bark is way more intense because it's usually guys that shock me. They get on the floor with him and they're petting him and they're playing with him. He's all snuggling up with them. And, so a lot of people come in the shop and they either see that I'm very open. Like, I don't hide it. I'm a hot mess. Like that. You're going, and I do apologize sometimes. I promise it's not this chaotic in here. And then some people will be like, no, I love this, especially as I'm not a mom, but moms that come in and there's a screaming baby or there's kids playing or running around. Cause a lot of my helpers, have kids. And so they bring their kids with them. Cause there's no exclusion. You're not going to pick between your kid and your me or my space. And so the kids love it there too. So I think like they come in, they see that for one, I'm a hot mess. Two, we're very family friendly, dog friendly. And then usually a conversation will get sparked about mental health. Or they'll buy a shirt, or they have this person, or they work for integrated services, or they work for, some place, in town that, they know somebody, or they are going through something, or they have a lot of people that I've reached out to or have reached out to me has lost somebody to suicide. We actually have, so I actually have opportunities for people who experience something tragic due to mental health. We can either help them with like groceries, gift cards, stuff like that, or a time for them to come into the shop and they get to, plant something, just kind of spend time not worrying about anything. So that's something that I do keep an eye out for. If, I've reached out to a couple of people who have, over the winter time or even into the new year, have reached out to them and let them know like, hey, when you're ready, this opportunity is here, especially when it's a child who loses, a parent, a dad. I want them to be a kid. Like, I don't want them to have to worry about anything because that's such a drastic change in their life. And so some people know that, some people don't, because there's a bad side to mental health too. There's a bad side to humanity. Like, people will take advantage of it. So I haven't been very open with that part of it, but like, I let people know, like, if this ever happens, let me know. Cause we have funds for this. We, want to help take stress off. If it's, them coming in, if it's, they need groceries or, a gift card or something like that. But yeah, I think like, people have connected to plants through the pandemic. And then once you can keep them alive, it's like an addiction. It's a good addiction. Obviously, any addiction isn't really good. Did
you see my kitchen? Like,
yeah, I was going to say, I think you're talking to the wrong guy.
Walk through my house and you can see my wife's connection.
Whoa.
I won't call it addiction.
Connection. I like that. That's a
connection with plants.
That's what we ought to start using.
It is a connection.
Green thumb.
So actually, when I look back, I was always outside with my dad, doing stuff like nature and gardening with my grandma and playing sports and had, 4-H animals and stuff. I did not want to be inside in the kitchen. I was not that type of person. I don't really, my mom definitely didn't have plants. I remember when my grandpa died, my grandma got plants and she had some, but fake and then real. I remember my grandma up north because I was actually born in Cleveland. So we spent some time up in Mentor, Ohio. And I remember my grandma up there having them and then my great grandma in Kentucky having them. But as like a teenager into my 20s, like the teenagers are now, no, I did not have plants. My mother-in-law actually used to gift us plants for holidays and stuff. And so she kind of, I think, is the reason why
really?
I am a plant person. I did kill some. I still kill some. I tell people all the time, I may own a plant shop, but I still kill plants because like there's so many different species. It's like, oh, I can keep this one alive. And then you try a different one and you kill it because it's, you can't let it dry out. Yeah. Whereas I'm all about the snake plants and the pothos, anything that like can completely dry out and tells me, or like pothos, they will like droop if you let it go too far and you give it water, they'll just perk back up. So, I'm all about the easy, low maintenance, but I do have, string of pearls and turtles and dolphins and, I venture out. Cacti are my favorite. I forgot about one in a room one time for 3 months. And I was like, oh, I should probably open that door. Cause it's like either it's clean or dirty. There's no in between. So either door's open or door shut. So I walked in and there was like pink flowers on this cactus. And I was like, I neglected you for 3 months and you have pink flowers on you. Like, this is my type of plant.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so,
Resilient.
Yeah.
yes. Well, if you think about the desert, they really,
Yeah.
so cactus, it took me a little bit to be succulents because people always say you can't kill them, but you can. I mean, I thought I was neglecting them and I wasn't. So like when they say neglect them, they literally mean neglect them. Like they don't want to be taken care of. They don't want to be touched. And so you just learn like different things. And so like you get a collection after a while. I mean, I have plants in every single room of my house. They're on windowsills. That's what we decorate with. My husband is not a decoration person. We don't have shelves on the wall. Like we don't need knick-knacky stuff. We have plants. So I definitely think like Katrina is definitely where the green thumb came in.
Yeah.
But I've definitely killed a lot of plants in my, say, 10 plus years of collecting them. But yeah, like when you asked with that, I think that's kind of just what plants, people are either gifting, they need a new plant, and then they come in, they get the vibe, they see the mental health stuff, they see kids in there already. And so it kind of just one thing leads to another. And then, we just connect and they know
That's
that
what
I'm
it's
there.
Really about, right? The connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
always
like I
talk
said,
about
when you walk in,
relationships.
when you walk in, there's where plants and people connect. And that's really all, what it's about is that connection. Cause that's actually the logo. There's a hand and my friend Kate Woltz up in, Hilliard, Alex Woltz, he went to Zane Trace.
Yeah.
His wife actually created my logo. And so, I am not like that type of stuff is way beyond my thing. So I answered these weird questions and she like put these multiple logos together off of these weird questions, like color, like what's your favorite color and this, and this. And next thing you know, she's sending me like these multiple styles based off my answer to this question. And the one that I picked actually to the side, she had like a description and it was, the hand and the plant representation is the connection between people and plants. And like, I didn't even have to look at the rest of them. I was like, this is the one I want. But the fact that like, in my logo, like there's a hand and a plant representing like, me with plants and people and stuff. And so that, yeah, like you said, that's really what it's all about is, because I have bad days and there's some days where people will walk in and I'm really not feeling like that social side of it. For one, I was like, I got out of retail for a reason. Why am I doing this again? And then, the right person comes in and, we end up having a conversation and it's not just, this is not about me. This is about, the community that I've built. And, when you look on the inventory in the shop, it's mostly women owned. It's mostly here in Chillicothe. When I realized that it was going way beyond plants and like actually forming a business, that was like my biggest goal is who can I support that for one worked their butts off during the pandemic that are still afloat, but also who's in Chillicothe, who's in Waverly, who's in Piketon, who's in Ohio that I can pull aside and lock arms with and support them. And so that's kind of what it's about. And, I feel like I have an amazing group of women who make amazing, inventory. And plus, like, not everybody is a plant person. So I wanted people to be able to come into the shop and if they're not a plant person, be able to and it's a lot of self-care stuff. Like if you look at it, to put something together for anybody, males, kids. So it's just about the community, being able to come together. So
how do people connect with you? You're on Facebook, just search Dauntless Roots, I assume.
Yeah. Dauntless Roots Plant Company, I believe is what our Facebook page is. Instagram, we have Instagram. We do have a website. You don't have stuff for like sale on there, but they can reach me through that. And then, stopping in the shop. We have a lot of opportunities and different things going on as well. But yeah, those are the two best ways to get a hold of me.
You're on West 2nd.
Yep.
At
13 West 2nd Street.
13, yeah.
I always tell everyone, between the book, like in the strip of the bookstore Totem, or the old roast coffee shop, most people know where that's at.
Definitely. Well, I love what you're doing. I think you found a great way to help people while also feeding your plant connection, as we've now coined a new phrase. But thank you for being on, because I think hopefully we're bringing a lot more awareness, not only to mental health, but also to what you do to try to help. So
thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
You're listening to the Feels Like Home podcast with Mike Throne and Marty Ford. Powered by Horizon. This is big. This is gig.
It feels a little strange, but I don't feel alone. We just settled in and it already feels like